Morning, today is June 21st, and we're sitting here in the offices of Tim O'Donovan. And having said that, I'm just gonna have Tim introduce himself. And Tim, please tell us what you do, where you practice, and which courts you practice in. Just tell us more about your practice.
Yes. First of all, we are socially distancing, right?
We are.
We are in my office. I'm a solo practitioner. I practice primarily in the area of personal injury law. I do some other general practice litigation. I'm a solo practitioner with one secretary paralegal, and pretty busy practice. Do a lot of different types of things in personal injury, and I'm glad to be here with Ellen today.
Well, thank you. And how long have you been practicing?
I've been practicing law for 26 years now. I started out in the district attorney's office, did some criminal defense work over the years, and some other firms in Manhattan and in Brooklyn. But I'm back here in Staten Island where I live, and I've had my own practice now for 10 years.
And Tim, I'm just gonna jump into it and ask you the question. Can you tell us how you and your family, but especially your business, been impacted by the stay-home orders and coronavirus pandemic?
I think the biggest thing I can say is monotony. That we as trial lawyers and as litigation attorneys are social people, and I think part of what we miss is going to court, the social aspect of court, of meeting our friends and colleagues in court, which also has an opportunity to obtain business as well. When you speak to a lawyer in court, all of a sudden they have a case for you. And so that part of it you miss. I think the positive of it is that we have become more disciplined and more had the ability to adapt to technology that we didn't necessarily know that we were capable of before. So like remote depositions, remote conferences, we sort of been thrown into this. And so some of this stuff that we've done is going to continue, I believe, after this unfortunate and tragic pandemic is over. We're going to continue to have these technologies at our disposal as lawyers. But I think the biggest takeaway is that there is loneliness to this, and there is monotony, and that is the biggest takeaway I will remember from this.
So you just mentioned adaptation to technology, being thrown into the need to use technology more and more. But let's go back for a second, and just let's go back 3 months ago. And you have your full calendar scheduled, and you have your court appearances in the Richmond County Court, and you have people counting on you to do depositions, clients, and all of a sudden the governor issues the stay-home orders. At that particular moment, what are your thoughts?
Well, at that particular moment, you wonder whether you're going to have a business or a practice. You don't know how it's going to pan out, how insurance companies are going to react. I've been fortunate that I've been able to resolve cases, and it's been somewhat business as usual for a lot of my cases. The biggest problem has been getting new cases. That's what me and many of my colleagues that I speak to are most concerned about, is getting cases going forward, keeping our businesses viable.
And what is that concern about cases? What do you talk about?
Well, we fear that the nature of this pandemic will permanently change the business. I don't get many phone calls right now, obviously. There's an immediate impact of the pandemic in that, the type of work I do, quite frankly, involves accidents. So there's not a lot of people that are driving. There's not a lot of people walking, stuff like that. So the volume of cases naturally is not there because people are not out on the roads, etc. That's the immediate impact. The long-term impact is where we practice, and I practice in New York and New Jersey. Are people going to stay in this area? Is the population going to reduce? Is the business affected, going out of business? Is there going to be less of a pool of insurance available? So I think there is an immediate impact and then a long-term impact that we as solo practitioners, as particularly in personal injury law, are concerned about.
I understand. So going back to technology, can you describe to me your first video conference? Did it feel weird? Did it feel okay? Like,
Well, I had taken a couple of webinars
okay.
to get to sort of get me ready for some of this technology, but it's never the same until you actually do it. It was okay. I actually wore a suit because I felt like I wanted to show respect to the court and respect for the process, having a suit on. So I've been, for these appearances, I've been wearing suits and ties to try to get me back into the framework of, this is a court proceeding, this is something that you should take seriously and respectfully. But most days, I'm wearing jeans and shirts and not necessarily shaving every day. And my hair is, I look like an aging 70s rock star right now. So.
And I guess, what are you missing most about the old normal? And I'm just using these phrases because these days you hear the new normal and the old normal, and you just never know which one is which. So, what are you missing most about the old normal?
Well, I missed, meeting directly with a client. I do a lot of appointments I'll meet them. They meet me at my office, but I've also met clients at home, in the hospital. So there's the personal touch to it that you can't have right now. I miss my colleagues, the courts, and the people that work in the courts. As I said, it's a social business. It's one. There are people that you talk to, you stay in touch with, but there are people that you really don't talk to unless you see in person. It's just the way that it is sometimes. So you do miss that personal touch, that personal connection.
And I guess in every situation you do have your positives and negatives. So, do you think you are able to identify at least one positive aspect of this change?
Well, I think the being kind of pushed into the technology of the remote depositions, thinking more about how you can do your cases in different ways. Communicating with clients by, say, like Zoom or Skype. These are things that, quite frankly, I wasn't really thinking much about as a small solo practitioner 3 or 4 months ago. I never even heard of Zoom 4 months ago. Now everything is Zoom. Zoom used to be a PBS show for children in the 1970s, I believe. So that's what I heard Zoom. That's what I thought of. So now it's a totally different way of looking at things, and so I don't think it's as good as the old normal, but it's forced us to think of things in different ways. It's forced us to adapt, and that's what I think that's what I take out of it positively.
And Tim, if you had a chance to go back, for example, or send a message, do you have an advice that you would provide to people? Because my understanding is that nobody was ready for this. This came unannounced, and we were all thrown into this. Dealt with it as best as we could. But do you have any advice?
The advice is to roll with the punches. That you have to stay positive. You have to be able to adapt, and during this time period, people. I probably one of the problems that people have is they're home, they're bored, they may be drinking too much alcohol, things like that. You got to avoid that. You got to find things to do, ways to keep yourself fulfilled for the time being in a sheltered place, but you also have to be able to keep your spirits up and be able to adapt. And if you need help in that, you should get it. Should not dwell on the negative. Because there's stuff you cannot control. You can only do what you can do, but you have to be positive and you have to say, okay, this happened, I gotta do this. You gotta be able to roll with the punches.
Okay. I think it's an excellent advice. And I guess The last question I have is about the Bar Association. My understanding is that you are currently the secretary of the Bar Association. You've been involved for a
Yes.
long time, and we're talking about the Richmond County Bar Association. And can you just tell us how the Bar Association, if at all, in any way, was there for you and the Bar Association's involvement? What
Yeah.
has been done?
I think Bar Association has been a lifeline for a lot of people, kind of a conduit for information. I get information not only from the Richmond County Bar Association, but from the New York State Trial Lawyers Association and the Academy of Trial Lawyers and other groups. So I try to stay on top of things throughout the city and parts of Long Island and Westchester and New Jersey, quite frankly. So I've been sort of getting information and conduits from different areas, but one of them has been the Bar Association. And I think that it's important in times like these where rumors start, where there's a lot of misinformation, that a bar association can sort of give it to you straight, tell you what's going on. One of the issues early on, there was a lot of misinformation about the Paycheck Protection Program, and I think that some of the bar associations were very helpful in explaining how that could be useful to a solo practitioner, to a small firm, to even a mid-sized firm. And there was a lot of misinformation that was out there, and the Bar Association, in conjunction with some of the banks, that they had do some webinars, really streamlined the information. So I would say the Bar Association has been a lifeline for information. It's also, quite frankly, a camaraderie that you have with other people that are active in the bar associations. And I think that it really, at the time when things were that we'd never seen before, it was good to have that sort of lifeline to hold on to and have people to talk to and see how they're doing and see how things that they are up against and see and compare them as to what you're doing and take notes and compare notes and how can we make things better, how could I make you better, how could you make me better. And I think that's what the bar associations have helped do, as well as other groups that serve the interest of lawyers in general.
And I guess since I don't have any more questions, I just want to give you the opportunity to express anything that you want to express without the questions.
Well, I think that I thank you, Ellen, for this opportunity to speak. I'm honored that you are speaking to me.
That's my pleasure.
And I find that lawyers in general get a bad rap. We do a lot of good things for clients, for the courts. We do a lot of things for free. We do a lot of things pro bono, and I think that sometimes gets lost how hard lawyers work and how much we care about our clients, how much we care about our practices, and how much we care about helping society. And I think that I would hope that people would understand that whether it's a solo practitioner like me or someone who works for Davis Polk, we do a job, we care about our clients, and this whole pandemic has really put into place how interconnected we are and how interconnected the world is and how important lawyers are to the conversation of society.
Okay. Anything else at this point?
That's all I have to say. Thank you very much.
And thank you. I think we're done here. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you.